You and I have both experienced that pain. You strive for your justice, and I strive for mine.
And what's going on, Read My Lips people? We are back. Back like we ain't never left, baby. So, Stacey Abrams. Let's talk about some Stacey Abrams. So the last time I brought her up was when she was getting interviewed and she commented on the Tara Reade allegations against Biden, and she said she unequivocally believes Joe Biden, and then she brought up false evidence that Tara Reade's allegations were dismissed by the New York Times. She said the New York Times looked into Tara Reade's allegations and found them not credible. The New York Times had to come out and correct it and say, whoa, we never said that. We never said her allegations weren't credible. We said we couldn't come to a decision about the allegations. We're hands off. We don't know. So they had to come out and correct Stacey Abrams. Well, since then, Stacey Abrams has sort of been on a journey, if you will. She's been on a tour, you can say, really vying to be Joe Biden's vice president. She really wants this. She really wants this. And there's actually news from inside the campaign that a lot of his campaign staffers don't like Stacey Abrams, and I can understand why. And there's also this myth on the left that, like, she's like this super left-wing, policy-driven individual. She's not. But I digress. Joe Biden invited her on while he was getting an interview. He invited her on. He wanted her to partake in this interview with him as well. And so the interviewer asked him, like, you know, you invited Stacey here personally. You invited her. You called for her to be on this program. Do you have something you want to announce? And then it was hilarious from there. Take a look.
Begin this with a question to Joe Biden, because Stacey Abrams is here because Joe Biden invited Stacey Abrams to be here. And so, Mr. Vice President, do you have an announcement to make? Is this an audition? Is there, what is the reason that you decided it's time for me to get on TV with Stacey Abrams?
Well, because Stacey Abrams has done more to deal with the fair vote and making sure there is a fair vote than anybody. And she has a great capacity to explain things and to lay out exactly why it's going to be so critically important in this election. This president's already said when they put in the stimulus package the Congress first passed money to provide for mail-in ballots, he already said, I'm not for that. If we do that, no Republican will ever win, or something to that effect. He's made it clear this is the guy who said he wants to defund the post office from being able to deliver ballots. I mean, so Stacey knows what she's doing, and she's an incredibly capable person.
Oh, wow. Ouch. Ouch. I gotta say it like Arnold. Ouch. 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 The chopper. Why would you do that? Biden, why would you do that? Admittedly, I don't blame her. She's minding her own business. You personally invite her onto this show with you. I would also be thinking that you were going to make an announcement. Like, they're not wrong to think that you were going to make an announcement. And then when he's like, nah, that's not. I have no announcement about Stacey Abrams. When as soon as she realized, like, the VP spot was, like, not in her grasp, you could see the look on her face as she imploded on the inside. She was like, I can't even, you can't make this up. So, yeah, that, like, I'm not even, like, mad at her in this situation. Except Carmen's a bitch, right? I'm not mad at her in this situation. But Biden, why would you do that? And there's been a lot of talk that Biden did that to kind of get her off her pedestal. Because, again, she's had like an air of arrogance around her, and she's sort of been on this VP tour. And some people are saying this was done to knock her down a peg. I don't think Biden's that strategic. But, yeah, just the look of disappointment on her face. Again, Biden, why would you do this? But, it's hard for me to feel super bad after, that BS excuse she gave with the Tara Reid situation and the blatant lies she told about the New York Times saying that Tara's allegations were incredible. Just a blatant lie, straight-faced national television, to where the New York Times, who caters to the centrist Democrats, had to come out and say, whoa, no, we never said that. Please don't say things like that for the last time. So yeah, wild. What's that music you usually play after something like that happens? Wah, wah, wah.
Aww.
Besides the Abrams catastrophe, look, there's a lot of big retail stores that are closing, and Yang called this out. He said this was going to happen, and the virus has sped up the closing of these stores exponentially. So a day or two, I want to say JCPenney ended up closing 240 stores as part of a bankruptcy plan. And just today, as of this recording a little earlier today, Pier 1 announced that they're closing a vast amount of stores, and they can't afford to continue as well. So while we've been saying while we're closed now, we can't wait to get back to work, a lot of people that are closed aren't reopening. And Yang's been saying this, and he's been talking about this. And so now, with these people that are being let go, not the CEOs and all those people at the top, because they're going to leave with some money, but the workers, they're just going to be jobless. And then the unemployment and the unemployment benefits that we have for unemployed people are going to run out. And they're not getting another stimulus check. And times are rough beforehand, pre-pandemic. And now people are really going to be screwed. Half of America made $30,000 or less. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. They don't have $400 in their bank account for an emergency. And a lot of these people were Penney workers, JCPenney workers, and Pier 1 workers. And so now they're not going to have a job to go back to. And the government's just going to toss them to the side. So I'll read a little bit on it for you guys. JCPenney will permanently close nearly 30% of its 846 stores as part of a restructuring plan under bankruptcy protection. The Texas-based retailer said Monday it plans to close about 192 stores by February, then another 50 later on. That will leave the company with just over 600 stores. JCPenney filed for bankruptcy reorganization Friday, making it the biggest retailer to do so since the coronavirus pandemic has forced stores to temporarily close. After announcing bankruptcy, the company said its physical stores and online operations will stay open during the reconstruction. The pandemic has begun to batter some of the weakest companies as retail sales plunge. Neiman Marcus and J sought bankruptcy protection days before JCPenney did. All three were already laden with debt and having trouble connecting with customers before the pandemic shut down the economy. JCPenney in particular has been declining in years amid the growth of e-commerce. Weighed down by $4 billion in debt, it has closed stores in recent years to cut costs. So, again, like I was saying, a lot of these companies, and I tweeted this out, were in trouble pre-coronavirus. The coronavirus came and it really exposed the wounds of these companies. And now they're flailing in the wind. Online, Yang talks a lot about automation. And he also mentions online. Online has destroyed a ton of stores. Now, some stores have been able to adjust and adapt to online taking over, and the ones that have, their head's still above the water, but a lot of them haven't. What happened to Radio Shack, for instance? Online completely destroyed Radio Shack. Well, Ron, how do you know this? Because I was a manager of a Radio Shack for 6 years. Two things destroyed them. The cell phone wave, right? Where they burdened themselves with too much cell phones, right? They had every carrier at the time. T-Mobile, Sprint, Verizon, AT&T. They had everyone. And they got rid of the core of what they were. I remember going to a big meeting and they said, we're no longer an electronics store that sells cell phones. We're a cell phone store that sells electronics. That was part of their downfall. And then the other part was online. And they were slow to adjust to online. And it crippled them and it destroyed them. And then there's a lot of stores that are catering to online too much. And it's crippling the brick and mortar even more. So their online is flourishing, but the employees in the stores are being decimated, especially because online tends to have better sales, better discounts, better promotions. And in a lot of stores, they don't even honor their own online promotions. So you go to a store, well, this same item is 50% off online. Can you just give me that in store? No. So they're forced to order online. This happens all the time. Well, Ron, how do you know this? I'm a manager of a store. This is scary. This is scary. We knew it was coming, but the scary part is how fast it's being pushed forward. And I did a segment when Yang was talking about we're seeing 10 years in 10 weeks because of this coronavirus. It's sad, and I really feel for the people that are losing their jobs. This is only going to add to the unemployment. We're almost at 30% unemployment. That's Great Depression numbers. Now, here's what's happening next. Here's what's going on next. So they're slowly opening things back up. Actually, let me scratch that. Quickly opening things back up. Understand that Trump has no vision, no plans to give us any more money, right? He has no plans on giving us $1,200 or doing anything extra for the working folk. He has no plans on extending unemployment benefits, nada. He has said multiple times, we have no choice, we're going back to work. Whether we like it or not, we're going back to work. And he's just going to throw us back out to the wolves. And he said people will have to be sacrificed in the process of this. I'm sure if we told Trump you have to sacrifice members of your family for this to happen, he wouldn't be part of that deal. He wouldn't be for that. But because it's us, we can sacrifice some of the people we love to get the economy booming again. Now, we're going to go back to work. As of the 20th of this month in Connecticut, most places will be open back up. Most places. Even though Lamont has, stopped hair salons and barbers and nail techs and stuff like that from working, the mall's going to open back up, and, some restaurants are going to open back up, and they're going to have, you can eat out in the patio, and they're going to have curbside takeout and stuff like that. Understand that there will be a massive reflare. And they know this. They're fully aware of it. The government is aware of it, that there will be a reflare. There's going to be a huge spike. A huge spike. I mean, we haven't leveled out as it is. There's going to be a massive reflare. But for the time being, they're going to throw us back out there to pump up the economy. They want people to spend some money. And they've already decided that Memorial Day weekend, the beaches will be open. And then go on to say that if social distancing measures aren't followed, they're going to close the beaches. Already for the places that have opened, get this, and if I have the clip, I'm going to put it up. Already for the places that have opened, They have strict social distancing rules. Nobody's following them.
Governors around the country believe it is one that is necessary, as several states are pushing forward with their reopening plans despite spikes in cases in some places. Take Texas. On Saturday, it reported the highest single-day increase so far of more than 1,800 cases. 700 of those were in Amarillo. It was tied to an increased testing at the city's meatpacking plants. Meanwhile, defiance of protocols to remain socially distant is ongoing across the country. In Los Angeles, where beaches reopened this weekend, sunbathing is not permitted, but that didn't stop beachgoers. In Ohio, this was the scene at a bar in Columbus on Friday night. The rules for the state are clear for bars and restaurants. Patrons must wear masks and keep a distance of 6 feet. Governor Mike DeWine called the photos here absolutely concerning.
Candidly, we've worked with the Attorney General, David Yost, and we're going to do whatever we have to do if these things, are in fact occur across Ohio.
Nobody's following them. Nightclubs, bars, restaurants, you name it. Nobody's following them. So, I just found these, a couple things interesting. Yang called it. I did a video called said Yang say I told you so, but we all know he won't. But Yang called it, and these retail establishments crumbling are sad because, look, a lot of them I grew up knowing. A lot of these I can remember being a kid and remembering JCPenney's. I remember Cereus and a bunch of these places that existed, and now it's like the end of a dynasty. These huge retailers that I have a lot of nostalgia with being a kid and going to these places and, winning a game or getting clothes or something along those lines. These places were already in trouble though, and the pandemic's just spread it up. So, and then Stacey Abrams, not a good look. She's not gonna go on any more shows with you, Biden. So, just a quick video for you guys. Nothing crazy. Again, if you haven't watched the video with me and Padge at the interview, please go check that out. It was a fantastic interview. I had fun. I think it was like 2.5 hours. Great people in the chat. And I will be getting interviewed on Nerds for Yang. But that's in July. I'll remind you guys as that approaches. It's the end of July. So pretty much 2 months from now. But I've been booked to do an interview with Nerd for Yang as well. Please stay tuned for that. And, if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please like, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. If you don't, let me know in the comment section why. I'm always down to talk about it. I have a Cash App, a PayPal, and a Venmo link in the description below. Please feel free to donate to the channel. Every little bit helps. Hopefully I'll be talking to you guys soon. Have a good one. Peace.